Warning: graphic content. This video contains disturbing details of real-life child abuse, torture, and murder. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. The content is presented for educational and awareness purposes only. Images used in this video do not depict an actual victim, but are included for illustrative purposes only. This is a true story that really happened. Gabriel Daniel Fernandez entered this world on February 20th, 2005 in Palmdale, California. But from the moment of birth, his life was a struggle for love, safety, and survival. Gabriel's early days weren't filled with lullabies and bedtime stories. Instead, his mother, Pearl Fernandez, handed him off to relatives almost immediately. She didn't want him, reportedly because she didn't think she could raise him. For a brief moment, that seemed like a good thing. His great-uncle and his partner took Gabriel in. With them, he smiled. He laughed. He even began to trust. But that chapter would be short-lived. Gabriel was eventually forced back into the custody of his biological mother, a woman who had shown no desire to raise him, nurture him, or protect him. Why? Because Pearl reportedly wanted to collect additional welfare money. And just like that, Gabriel was sent back to the very people who would torture and kill him. Pearl Fernandez and her boyfriend Isauro Aguirre were not nurturing caregivers. They were sadists. What Gabriel returned to was not a home. It was a prison. The moment Gabriel entered their apartment in Palmdale, it was as though the air grew colder. He was no longer seen as a child. He was viewed as a burden, a target, a punching bag. Isauro, a security guard, and Pearl, reportedly with a history of mental health issues and abusive behavior, saw Gabriel not as a son, but as an object to torment. The abuse didn't just start. It escalated. Every single day. And no one came to stop it. What happened inside that home is difficult to describe, but it must be told. Because this is the horror Gabriel endured every day for 8 straight months. Gabriel was beaten with fists, belts, metal hangers. He was forced to sleep bound and gagged inside a small cabinet, pepper sprayed in the face, made to eat cat litter and spoiled food from the trash, shot in the face and groin with a BB gun, burned with cigarettes. His teeth were knocked out. He was denied medical attention, even when bleeding or unconscious. Pearl and Isauro called Gabriel gay and mocked him for being soft. His interest in dolls, kindness, and sensitivity became excuses for brutal punishment. One chilling detail: they forced him to wear girls' clothes and beat him for it. And all the while, Gabriel still told his teacher, "I want to be a good boy. I want my mom to love me." Gabriel didn't suffer in total silence. He asked for help, again and again, and adults saw the signs. But every time, he was sent back. Gabriel's teacher, Jennifer Garcia, noticed the bruises. He once came to school with chunks of hair missing. Another time, he had black eyes, bruises all over his arms, and burn marks. She called the Department of Children and Family Services multiple times. Other staff members called too. Even the school security guard contacted Child Welfare Services. Social workers visited, but they did not remove Gabriel. One even wrote in their report that the allegations were unfounded, without thoroughly investigating. One deputy reportedly ignored direct signs of abuse. Gabriel once handed his teacher a suicide note. He was 8 years old and wanted to die. May 22, 2013, a 911 call was made. Gabriel was no longer breathing. When paramedics arrived, they found Gabriel unconscious, his body broken. He had a cracked skull, broken ribs, BB pellets embedded in his lungs and groin, bruises covering almost every inch of his body. Pearl told them he fell and hit his head, but doctors knew immediately this was no accident. Gabriel was rushed to the hospital. He was declared brain dead. He would die 2 days later, on May 24, 2013. He never made it to his 9th birthday. Justice, when it finally came, was too late for Gabriel, but it stirred the soul of a nation. Isauro Aguirre was arrested and eventually sentenced to death. His lack of remorse shocked everyone in the courtroom. Jurors described the evidence as soul-crushing. Gabriel Fernandez was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She showed little emotion during sentencing. But the outrage didn't stop there. 4 social workers were also charged with felony child abuse and falsifying records. Shockingly, those charges were later dismissed. The system that failed Gabriel walked free. Gabriel's story didn't end with his death. It lit a fire. People demanded change. Netflix released a 6-part documentary, The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez, which sparked outrage across the world. Advocacy groups called for reforms in CPS protocols and accountability. Gabriel's name has become a symbol, not just of tragedy, but of a warning that when cries for help are ignored, children die. Even now, 10 years later, new cases of abuse emerge every week, and many fear there are more Gabriels out there. Gabriel Fernandez was 8 years old. He wanted to be loved. Instead, he was tortured to death while the system looked the other way. If you suspect a child is being abused, report it. Your voice might be the only one that saves them. Let his story be remembered, not just as a tragedy, but as a call to protect the vulnerable. Like, comment, and subscribe for more true stories that matter. Rest in peace, Gabriel.